why Jon Jones got himself into a road rage incident. Also, the other thing we're going to talk about, Iran. We're going to talk about Iran, the updates on what's going on in Iran. Obviously, there was pilots that were shot down and 2 pilots that were rescued as a result of this incident. What else are we going to talk about? There's other subjects we're going to talk about. Oh, yeah, Drakeo the Ruler's killer. We're going to talk about that as well. Let's get right into that, okay? With no particular order, other than the fact that I am going to timestamp the predictions for UFC 327. Let's get right into it, right? Let's get to Draco's killer right now. Okay, what is going on with this? Victory says, let's go. Straight right away. That's right, man. No hesitation this time. Obviously, I had a little bit of a delay going on. But, yeah, you know, I figured, you know what, just straight right into it. So, UFC, Iran, Jon Jones, and Drakeo the Ruler, and all of that. So, let's get this thing cracking. So, the real reason why Drakeo the Ruler got himself smoked, Flacco winning of this unaliving. All right, let's hear what Compton Rick Rock has to say about this situation right here.
The way we clean our teeth. Meet Sonic Breath.
Continue to pop. LA. Now.
All right, man. You see, this is the
Mother Nature.
He says, I felt bad. Jiri was on Aiden and Neon's stream. Okay, I felt bad for him. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Hello, everyone. Hate Love says, shout out to you, man. So, Jiri on the stream of Aiden Ross and Neon, that makes sense. Obviously, they're fighting down in Miami, right? So, it's only right that they do an Aiden stream Ross, I presume, right? Speaking of Aiden Ross, yeah, he was on the verge of not paying Blueface his money for fighting at the Brand Risk boxing show. Of course, Whack 100, being the manager of Blueface, said, we're not going to have that going on. He made him pay out of his own money, okay? Aiden Ross was saying, well, there wasn't enough money coming in or this and that. Little homie, you're going to pull out of your own bank account and you're going to pay my client. And that's exactly what he did. You know, this is why, guys, I tell you, if you want a manager, you want somebody to help you out, you need a West Coast gangster dude to help you out with that. You know what I mean? Like, as West Coast dudes, bro, we got a reputation out here. You know what I mean? We got a real reputation out here when it comes to mixing street with business and business with street. So, speaking of business and street, let's get right to this content right here with Compton Rick Rock.
On the top of the morning. Feel real good this morning, y'all. Feel real good. I'm blessed to be alive this morning. I'm glad I woke up. I could see Mother Nature, see the beautiful things that God made, which is these trees. I can hear these birds. It's peaceful.
He says, Whack might be one of the least intimidating people I have ever seen. Okay, so you're absolutely right about that, right? Obviously, because you are a 6'3" man who trains mixed martial arts. You know, I'm a 6 foot man, you know, over 200 pounds that trains mixed martial arts. So, of course, he's not going to be scary to dudes like me. And, yes, he does have homies, but so do I, right? But what Whack 100 has proven over the years is that he is a formidable manager, right? He will go out of his way to provide for his clients. Whack, the best way to describe Whack, he is like Ali Abdelaziz in the world of MMA, right? If you want to think about how Ali Abdelaziz, you know, treats his clients and how he, you know, gets his clients in position and how he provides for his clients when it comes to, let's say, X, Y, and Z. Yeah, he says, wasn't he just a radio guy? No, Whack 100, you see, what's interesting about Whack 100, right? He comes from, you know, a very, how do I say this? A very respectable working class background. You see, he was a trucker when he got out of prison, right? He spent some years in prison, got into trucking. After he got into trucking, he started his own truck business, basically became a self-made businessman in regard to that, right? So his connections in the gang world, and I tell you guys this all the time, right? There's so many connections in the gang world when it comes to music, maybe even fighting sports, maybe even TV. He got into it with Death Row Records, right? He knew guys that were at Death Row Records, and they gave him a job, and next thing you know, he's now, managing artist, right? So that's basically the quintessential life story of Whack 100. He says, have you heard of the song Three Finger Whack? You learn a lot about the real Whack. Oh, okay. Yes, there's a lot of guys in the California gang world whose name is Whack, right? Either Wacko or Whack 100. Wacko is the derived name from that, right? Which I think comes from a Mexican gang tradition, right? Wacko or Loco or something like that, right? Obviously, he came from Pacoima, right? He comes from a blood set out in Pacoima, but Pacoima is predominantly a Mexican neighborhood, right? Not a blood neighborhood, but a Mexican Southsider Sureño neighborhood. But yeah, that's a little synopsis on Whack 100 right there.
Peaceful is quiet. Now I see why them old people get up early in the morning and take their morning walks. It's peaceful. Now, we about to get into the topic at hand. It ain't gonna be so peaceful. All right, so look.
By the way, guys, this guy right here, Compton Rick Rock, he is the real life Franklin of GTA. The real life Franklin of GTA. He looks like Franklin too. He comes from a Crip set, which, by the way, obviously, Grove Street Families is an emulation of Crips, right? The Ballas, their opponents, their opposition. Obviously, that has a little bit of a blood, resemblance towards it. But yeah. He says Wacko is a crazy but dangerous person in British slang. Okay, well there you go, right? Whack 100 has done some podcasts out in the UK before when Blueface was out there fighting some English guy. I believe the name of the podcast was Realer Than Most podcast, right? So RTM was the podcast. So you should go check that out.
I was talking about the dudes from LA. You dudes from LA, you dudes from LA, you dudes from LA. That's how you LA do. LA is popping right now, y'all. LA been popping. It's gonna continue to pop. No matter what category you put us in, it's gonna pop.
And you know what? A lot of people right now are getting arrested in LA because guess what? In less than 2 years, the Olympics is gonna be here and they want all the gang members up out of here. Okay, they want all the gang members up out of here. They don't want any of these gang members coming up in here extorting these Olympic athletes in their Olympic village. But yeah, that's kind of an explanation of why all of these gang indictments are going on right now, including probably the Bloods with what's going on with the Dreako beef.
Now, this is another thing. This is what I want to talk about, though. I seen somebody say, you LA dudes is pathetic. Y'all let Flacco do what he want to do. Say what he want to say. Y'all mad at everybody. Mad at everybody, right? This is what I got to say to you guys. Because it ain't nothing but the LA guys. It's a lot of
All right, so to kind of give you a little bit of some synopsis of what Compton Rick Rock is talking about, right? Obviously, Flacco, Poetic Flacco, right? The content creator that works for Adam 22 at No Jumper, right? He is an African dude who hates gang members. He hates everything about gang culture. He is a self-proclaimed snitch. He will snitch on you, right? A lot of people are mad at Flacco for bringing all of this up. But in reality, guess who brought all of this up, brought it upon themselves? It is the guys that are talking online. Look, here's the thing, right? You guys have gotten that Zane for this before, right? one of you in here has gone at Zayn for X, Y, and Z. No pun intended, right? What is that X, Y, and Z you got at Zayn for? You got at him because he was gambling, right? Obviously something that us Muslims are forbidden to do. If I was going to gamble, which I don't, but if I was, I wouldn't tell anybody about it. You want to know why? Because number one, it would proceed over my reputation as a Muslim. So there is no way that I'm going to go out of my way to tell people about the sins and transgression that I'm doing. So in this light, if you're out there and you know that one of your friends stabbed Drakeo the Ruler, was the guy that unalived him, maybe you want to keep that to yourself a little bit, right? And if you don't keep that to yourself, then obviously you're going to open yourself up to a whole wide range of criticism. Not only a whole wide range of criticism, the people in your neighborhood are not going to trust you anymore. So basically take accountability for what you show to the world and what you say to the world. Because what you say can and will be used against you in the court of law or in the court of public opinion.
LA guys who pushing this narrative.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Now, these dudes be having a problem with people on the internet. They got their own internet enemies, right? The guys who don't like them. And one thing about the internet, it's going to show you the guys who mama raised them and not their daddy. Because you're going to see that emotional side in these guys. Not saying...
Yup, speak on it, Compton Rick Rock. Speak on it.
Yeah, we don't, everybody got emotions. But these guys are emotional. Cry, complain. They so mad at the next guy. But they ain't gonna do nothing but load up another video day after day after day, saying the same thing over and over a million times, crying. These guys, they just shut up. Being man about it. The same thing you telling people to do to the people that you don't like, some of y'all know exactly where these people at. And you're not gonna do it. Not gonna bust a move. You're not gonna bust a grape. You're gonna load up another video and complain about it. I see a lot of dudes. Hold on, we gotta be very careful with this coffee this morning. We ain't gonna waste this coffee again. I see it every day. I see so much jealousy with these grown men. It's ridiculous. Jealousy. Jealous because the next man got it going on for himself. Whether it's the internet.
Yup, just like a lot of you in the internet. A lot of you are jealous that another man got it going on and you don't.
Or not. If you dudes feel so ashamed and so embarrassed of the way that guys do LA, the same thing that y'all tell people to do, why y'all won't do it? Why y'all won't do it? Y'all know where these dudes at. Why y'all won't do it? Why y'all want somebody else to do your dirty work? Because you got a problem with it. Get your emotional ass off this internet. If that's all you got to contribute. I see guys that push gang promotion, right? Gang content.
Hey Love says, Rick Rock is speaking facts. He is right. It's all jealousy, right? Yup.
But they mad at other guys on the internet because they doing better. Hold up. Because we're not going to waste this coffee. They mad because other channels is doing better than they channels. It ain't nothing but pure jealousy. And if you look on the internet, who the ones doing it? The people that look like me, us, We the one that's hating on each other the most. Everybody else is showing people how to create, put up signs, like the one behind me. Ooh, this morning walk feel good. Got me sweating this morning, real good. But yeah, a lot of jealousy with our people, homie. Nigga talking about who unalive Drakeo.
By the way, only in LA can you wear a hoodie in the morning, right? But once it's afternoon, you know, you got to take that thing off because it gets hot out here during the afternoon. But in the morning time, yeah, perfect for hoodies and sweaters and all of that.
But they ain't looking at the fact that, rest in peace Drakeo, first and foremost. Much love to Drakeo. But we got to keep it a buck. Drakeo was dissing and doing a whole lot. Whoever unalived Drakeo, I don't care. It don't make me none. Don't matter to me. I'm gonna look at it as a learning lesson. Drakeo was on here dissing. Drakeo he caused that upon himself and wasn't ready for the outcome.
All right, so Compton Rick Rock is absolutely right about that, right? Drakeo the Ruler brought this upon himself, just like Tupac. He brought this upon himself. He went at a whole bunch of Southside Crip members who allegedly stole a chain from one of his homies, and he decided to do something about it. Now, look, a lot of people are going to blame him for that, right? But that's what you do. That's what you do as a gang member. Hate Love says, is he wearing red and blue colors? Is that allowed? That's a very good question, right? It is allowed. I'm going to tell you why, right? You see, Compton Rick Rock is a known public figure, right? So with that comes being a known public figure. People already know where he's from. People already know the side that he represents. So him wearing red is not necessarily the biggest deal in the world, right? I've seen Brick Baby, a famous Rollin' 60 Crip member, wear red, right? In fact, one of the most famous crowd shouts that he did, okay, he literally yelled out and said, you know, hey, man, you know what I mean? You don't know, man, you know, all the skulls that I got going on 6-0. You remember that little crash out episode that he did in No Jumper a couple of years ago? He was wearing red at that time, so it doesn't make a difference. People know where he's from. What I will say, though, is that it's not as prominent as it once was, right? Like back then, it would be absolutely unthinkable for a Crip or a Blood to wear the opposite colors. Nowadays, it's just normal, right? If you just happen to run across a really good, red polo shirt, of course you're going to rock it. You know what I mean? Of course you're going to buy it. But yeah, it's kind of one of them things, right? He says, are you from Dagestan? Chaudhry says, no, I am not. I am from Sacramento, California. Abdul Rahim, welcome, my man. He says, hello to the chat. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Blessings and greetings. Predictions for the Fury Madura fight. Smith, Morrell. Oh, okay, so we got some boxing going on as well as UFC 327. That's right, man. But Tyson Fury will be fighting this week. He says, please like and subscribe and please be respectful. Thank you. Yes. All right, back to Compton Rick Rock here.
A lot of you niggas on here, homie, not ready for the outcome, but you cry, complain, you disrespect people. I see it all day. I see Bloods on here calling Crips crabs. I hear Crips on here calling Blood slobs. I'm looking at this shit every day, right? And then when something happened to them, we supposed to feel sorry for them. I don't feel sorry for nobody. I don't care who got smoked out here. I'm just keeping it thou wow. Because if you play the game got to come to an end.
I tell you why a lot of people do care and sympathize, right? Because, yes, gangsters kill each other every day, right? People die every day. People get smoked every day. The difference is that if that gangster rapper has a following, if that gangster rapper has a fan base, right? The same thing with me. You guys, man, you love my channel, you love what I'm about, but let's be honest, right? If I get into it with someone, and I suffer the consequences, that I brought that upon myself. Number one, because I didn't look at the risk assessment that was involved. Number two, more likely, I'm the one that brought it upon myself. Juice Man says, bro, I know the way he talks way too much. LOL, literally Cali, LA. Yes, Victory says Kyrie is a GOAT because he'll let you say whatever you want as long as you're not disrespectful. He is the one race whisperer that taught TJ Dillashaw what he knows. Yes. Oh, man. I laugh every time, either you say or someone says that I taught TJ Dillashaw how to fight, right? I laugh at that because of, just because I know the truth behind that. It's like, I spent so much hours with this guy and him, literally teaching me things. I don't think I've ever taught him one thing, hey, TJ, do it like this or this and that. It was always like, okay, you know what? He has some instructions to give. I'm gonna, listen attentively, right? That's how it always was. But, I mean, yeah, I'll take the joke regardless either way.
Games come to an end. Ain't no starting over in this game, though, of life. So if you put yourself in a position to get your wig split, I'm not gonna feel sorry for you at all.
Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna feel sorry for you either.
I see it all day, man. Every single day. All you complaining guys on the internet. It's just jealousy, homie. Y'all don't care. Y'all don't care about LA. Y'all don't care about the politics. Y'all don't care about who got smoked. Y'all don't care about the gangs. Because it ain't nothing but gang members on here. And gang members that's on here, y'all know better to be talking about what you're talking about. So if you're talking about it, you don't care. You just profit. You want to profit off of it. Everybody on here to profit.
And that's the thing about this, right? Look, you guys have to understand something, right? Gang culture is very exploitive. It is very exploitive from the top down all the way to the bottom. It is exploitive. So what do? If you're part of this life and you've experienced this life in some kind of way, you got to go out and exploit it. I'm sorry. That's what you got to do. There is no honor in this. Now, of course, there's certain basic honors like don't snitch and, have your homies back or this, that, and the other. But he says, can you update what we are talking about? So what we're talking about right now is Drakeo the Ruler's killer, right? The rapper Drakeo the Ruler's killer basically coming out confessing and saying that his friend was one of the guys that stabbed him. It was during, let me give you guys a little bit of some context here, okay? It was this event called Once Upon a Time in LA. Okay, I'm not telling you a story, by the way. That's the name of the story. Once Upon a Time in LA, 2021, Drakeo the Ruler's death. Okay, so if we look this up, this is what we have for this, right, to kind of give you a little bit of some synopsis. So Drakeo the Ruler, born as Daryl Caldwell, his real name, okay, was fatally stabbed on December 18, 2021 during Once Upon a Time in LA festival. Okay, it's a music festival at the Bank of California Stadium in the Exposition Park. At the time, he was 28 years old. So let me give you the little bit of rundown of the people that were in here, right? 50 Cent was in this concert. Snoop Dogg was in this concert. YG. So basically a whole wide range of West Coast mainstream guys and underground guys. At the time, Drakeo was sort of coming up from the underground. He was on his way to becoming, let's say a mainstream star, but, this happened. So, okay, so the incident. A fight broke out backstage around 8:30 p.m., shortly before Draco was scheduled to perform. His mother later stated that a group of 40 to 60 men in mass attacked Draco and his entourage. So apparently there was, 40 to 60 guys. I don't know who those 40 to 60 guys were. You could probably guess. Maybe guys from the other side of the tracks, if you know what I mean. The cause of death, he was stabbed in the neck with an edged weapon. Okay, he was transported to the local hospital in critical condition, succumbed to his injuries early the following December 19th morning. So the festival response was that the organizers canceled the remainder of the festival, including headlining sets by Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, and YG. Snoop Dogg reportedly left the venue immediately after being informed of the stabbing. How convenient, right? You know, Snoop Dogg leaves soon. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that, but legal and investigation status. So as of the early 2025 to 2026, there have been no arrests made in connection to the Drakeo the Ruler murder. What they did, though, was the family of Draco. He says, "Where are you from, brother?" "From Sacramento, California, my man." Okay, so a wrongful death lawsuit. In February 2022, Draco's family filed a $25 million wrongful death lawsuit, okay, against the festival's promoters, including Live Nation and C3 Presents. By the way, the brother of Draco, Ralphie the Plug, right? He can't get any gigs right now because the majority of live events are sponsored and taken care of by none other than Live Nation. So go figure. Right? Legacy and tributes. Nervous music. Draco was celebrated for pioneering a subgenre known as nervous music. Categorized as deadpan delivery, cryptic slang, and dark paranoid themes. So he had his own style going on. He says, "Next fight night, are you live? We'll see." Collaborations. Just months before his death, he achieved mainstream success with a single, "Talk to Me," featuring Drake, which appeared on his debut studio album, The Truth Hurts. Okay, so public mourning, figures like Drake, Snoop Dogg, Jim Jones, they all gave, you know, basically some contribution to him. So, all right, so that's a little bit of an update of what's going on with Drakeo the Ruler. Now, fast forward to today, you got his killers, allegedly, that were involved, going on the internet claiming that they had something to do with it.
Let's just keep it a buck. Nobody care about nobody telling lies on the internet. Nobody care. And if they channels was doing thousands of numbers, like Flacco, they'd be doing the same thing. Just like Drakeo the Ruler, he didn't care what happened to him. Y'all shouldn't care either. If Flacco's on the internet and he's doing things that upset people from the streets, and he don't care about the consequences and the outcome, you shouldn't either. You shouldn't either. So, y'all saying y'all still cool with Flacco? Y'all still cool? Everybody still cool with Flacco? Let me tell you something, man. What you gonna do about it? Because you the only one on the internet that's concerned. The only one that's concerned. You ain't gonna do nothing about it either. Shut up. You just loading up a video to get you a YouTube check. Every man got to be held accountable for their own actions. And if these people don't care about the stuff they say or do, you shouldn't either.
All right, so with that in mind, if you want to see the rest of that video, check out the real reason why Drakeo the Ruler got himself smoked, Flacco winning of these murders, basically is the title right there. So, okay, now we got into the 30-minute mark of this live stream. We're going to get to UFC, okay? We're going to get to the UFC portion of this live stream.
We got you covered, Bumblebee!
Yeah, so now we're going to get into UFC 327. That's what we're going to get into right now. So 30 minutes into this, let's get right into UFC 327 full card prediction. Obviously, up top, you got Yuri Prochazka taking on Carlos Ulberg. Now, how do I see this fight? Okay, let's start from the very beginning of the main event, okay? Full card for UFC 327. Okay, predictions. So that's what we're going to do right here. We're going to do predictions for UFC 327. I'm going to go with Carlos Ulberg. I'm going to tell you why. A reason why I'm going to go with Carlos Ulberg is because Carlos Ulberg seems to be the much more proficient striker between Yuri Prochazka and him, right? Yuri Prochazka has great striking, but it's very messy. Okay, not only is it very messy, it's also very, well, susceptible to getting hit. Okay, he's been knocked out a few times by a wide range of people. Okay, let's take a look at some of the knockouts that Yuri Prochazka has had over his career, right? John Dong, shout out to you, my man. The man who predicted Kyle Dawkins and Bo Nickel at the White House. So shout out to you on that, my man. All right, so some of the past losses that he's had here. Okay, he's lost 4 times by knockout. Okay, Alex Pereira knocked him out. Alex Pereira knocked him out again. Who else did he get knocked out by? He got knocked out by Muhammad Lawal. That's the same night that he won against Vadim Nemkov, right? He beats Nemkov and then loses to Muhammad Lawal in that same night. Okay, gets submitted by Abdul Karim. Gets knocked out by Bojan Velokovic. That was back in 2012. So, yeah, man. He has a high susceptibility of getting knocked out, and that is because he puts his chin down. He's very elusive, but at the same time, really careless. So I think the technical prowess of Carlos Ulberg is going to shine through in this one. I think that if he doesn't knock out, if Carlos Ulberg doesn't knock him out, I think it is Carlos Ulberg who's going to have the better technical striking. Yeah, I agree. Right. So you see what I'm saying, right? You see what I'm saying? He's very sloppy. Now, if you look at the only fight that Carlos Ulberg has lost, it was against Kennedy Nzechukwu. I believe Kennedy Nzechukwu was a former lightweight who transitioned into a heavyweight. Not Aki says, can you hit the sea lion? I don't understand what you mean by that. Yeah, you're going to have to elaborate on that a little bit. I don't know what you mean by can you hit the sea lion. But anyways, yeah. So Kennedy Nzechukwu, that was back in 2021. Back in 2021, that happened. Yeah, so that was literally months after Drakeo The Ruler was unalived. Yeah, that was like literally months after. So December, January, no, wait. No, I'm sorry. That was before, way before. So Drakeo The Ruler was still alive when the last time that he got knocked out. And then after he got knocked out by Kennedy, he gets a unanimous decision against Fabio, gets a TKO win against Tafon. Nikolai knocks him out. Ihor Potieria, he knocks him out. Jung Da-un, he knocks him, well, submits him, kind of showing a little bit of his well-rounded prowess. Alonzo Menifield, he knocks him out. Volkan Oezdemir gets a decision off of him. By the way, Volkan Oezdemir is very tough, right? Very tough. Gets a unanimous decision win against Jan Blachowicz, and then gets a knockout win over Dominic Reyes in Perth, Australia, right? So I think that momentum is on the side of Carlos Ulberg, right? I will be very surprised if Yuri Prochazka even walks out and wins this one, right? He was a former champion. He had his time. Now it is the time for Carlos Ulberg to shine. Okay, so that's my official prediction for that one. We're going with Carlos Ulberg. because that's the smart choice to make on this one. So now we move on to the co-main event. Wow. Okay, there is no co-main event with Joshua Van. Man, I may have to change my thumbnail on this one, but man, so you guys are right. So Joshua Van is really out. Is that right? Give me a confirmation on the chat below. Joshua Van is really out of this fight, man. I'm so disappointed, man. I really wanted Joshua Van to be in this fight, but, you know, it is what it is by the end of the day. Really disappointed, man. Really disappointed. But we do have Paulo Costa and Azamat Murzakanov. So we got Azamat versus Paulo Costa. 16-0 versus 15-4 light heavyweight. This is at light heavyweight. Yeah, I think he's injured. Okay, so he's out. And what do we got? We got Azamat versus Paulo Costa. Then we got Curtis Blades versus Josh Hockett. All right, let's get to it, right? Paulo Costa versus Azamat. So notice the height discrepancy here, right? 6'1" man taking on a 5'8" 205er. Very small 205er. Very small 205er. At least height-wise, he's very small. But I tell you what, man, the guy could wrestle. And ultimately, if you can wrestle, that's going to be the difference maker. That is definitely going to be the difference maker of the fight. Shoot in for a single leg, shoot in for a double leg, which I think is what he is going to do in this whole entire fight. I'm going with Azamat by decision. 3-round submission, wrestling fest, three rounds of grinding, and Paulo Costa will have no answer for it. So good co-main event, right? If there's going to be a co-main event, why not let it be Paulo Costa and Azamat? But I think this is going to catapult Azamat into the light heavyweight division. So, yeah, I'm going with him by unanimous decision. Unanimous decision win. Curtis Blades versus Josh Hockett. Okay, this is a very interesting fight right here, right? I like Josh Hockett, right? We need guys like him in the heavyweight division right now. Okay, a lot of people are complaining that the heavyweight division is not as strong as it once was. Not in the days of Alistair Overeem, Brock Lesnar, Shane Carwin. I mean, that was a golden era of heavyweight MMA right there, baby, okay? You had Frank Mir, right? And even Frank Mir, a prime Frank Mir right now could beat a lot of these guys. I think you guys would agree to that, right? I think that a prime Frank Mir could beat a lot of these guys. If not, just a current Frank Mir could beat a lot of these guys. Heck, how about Brendan Schaub, man? Brendan Schaub could probably beat a lot of these guys, which is crazy to say. But that shows you how skilled the heavyweights were back then. Brendan Schaub, former NFL player, jiu-jitsu black belt, great striking on top of it. Yeah, man. Yeah, these guys are not at the level of the old heavyweights. However, Curtis Blades, man, I think Curtis Blades could actually win this one right here. I honestly do, right? Now, anybody in the chat, if you guys want to help me out on this, right? Do you see any wrestling prowess on the part of Josh Hockett? Have you seen him perform in a way that indicates, you know what, this guy is a good wrestler for MMA. Let's check out his career thus far. Right, the Chael Sonnen heavyweight from Bakersfield, California. Shout outs to Bakersfield, California on that. So let's see here. Oh, wow, he was a 49ers. Okay, that's interesting. He was a 49ers football player. And he was also signed to the Arizona Cardinals. Went into Bellator MMA. Right now, he's 8-0. So he fought at Bellator 300 in his MMA debut against Spencer Smith. Gets a submission, gets a knockout, TKO, gets another submission, gets a TKO, gets a TKO. Okay, so this guy's a finisher. This is a guy that doesn't know how to He doesn't know how to go to the scorecards. But I tell you who does know how to go to the scorecards. It's this guy right here. Okay, Chicago's own Curtis Blades' dad was a Chicago police officer. Snitch. Anyways, yeah, so Rizvan Kuniev gets a split decision, loses to Tom Aspinall. I remember that fight vividly. Gets a win over Jailton Almeida. Loses to Sergey Pavlovich. Sergey Pavlovich is still right up there, by the way. Loses to Tom Aspinall. Beats Tom Aspinall back in 2022. In 15 seconds, by the way. Chris Dawkins, the brother of Kyle Dawkins, has a win over him. Jair Rosenstruck. Yeah, he's got some court cases going on right now. I believe it was based on drug trafficking in the Netherlands. Gets knocked out by Derek Lewis. So, all right, man. The question is, can Josh Hockett knock out Curtis Blades? And my answer is probably not. I'm going to tell you why, okay? I'm going to tell you why I don't think he can knock out Curtis Blades. If you take a look at his fights, right? Max Gimes, that was a TKO. Denzel Freeman, that was a TKO. All his knockouts were all TKOs. You want to know what Jeremy Stevens said about Conor McGregor? This guy TKOs people, I laid him the F out. Who the F is that guy? That was his response to it. Who the F is that guy? All right, well, who the F is that guy? Yeah, that's a guy who TKOs people. Meanwhile, people like Derek Lewis lay you out, right? So what I'm saying is that I don't think Josh has the ability to knock out Curtis Blades. I don't think he has the ability to out-wrestle Curtis Blades. He's got great submission. What if he gets on top of Josh Hockett? I'm talking about Curtis Blades. Gets on top of Josh Hockett, tries to rain down punches on him, and Josh Hockett, out of nowhere, ends up with a triangle choke. He says, Billy asks, what would you have done if Jon Jones got out on a road rage incident? I tell you what, Billy, I'm glad you asked this question, right? We are going to get to that segment after we get to this full card. What I will say is that what Jon Jones has gone through with that road rage incident, I've been in those situations about hundreds and hundreds of times, if not hundreds of times in a year, okay? And we're going to talk about that, right? I'm going to tell you what I did, how I got into those situations, and then we're also going to analyze Jon Jones' situation as well and what came out of it. By the way, the guy that was filming Jon Jones, he came out on social media and had something to say about that, but we will talk about that. But for now, what I will say for the prediction of Josh Hockett versus Curtis Blades, I'm going with Curtis Blades by 3-round decision, okay? Now, I know Josh Hockett is a fun fighter. I know Josh Hockett is the new Chael Sonnen. I know that he brings a new blood to the heavyweight division, but he's too premature, okay? He's too premature, and I think that he got catapulted into this fight, a Miami main card against Curtis Blades, because he talked his way into it. I don't think that he's going to beat Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades by unanimous decision. Now, how about this? Dominic Reyes. Ooh, boy. We got Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker. Wow. 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 That's probably one of my favorite fights other than the main event. Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker. Now, who says that the light heavyweight division is shite right now? Who says that, right? You got Dominic Reyes, you got Johnny Walker, you got Carlos Ulberg, you got Yuri Prochazka, you got Alex Pereira, right? The modern GOAT right now, moving up to heavyweight. He could easily come back down again if he, decides to, or if he loses, or maybe he just decides to stay at heavyweight. Who knows? But this fight right here, obviously Dominic Reyes coming off of a loss against Carlos Ulberg, right? Prior to that, what sort of what sort of career trajectory did Dominic Reyes experience prior to that loss? Well, here it is. He started off with a winning streak against Dustin Jacoby, Anthony Smith, Nikita Krylov. I remember the day that Dominic Reyes was coming off of a 4-fight losing streak, right? Loses to Jon Jones, Jan Blachowicz, Yuri, Ryan Spann. That was a 4-fight losing streak he had going on, right? And then he got that win against Dustin Jacoby in June of 2024. I remember where I was at during that time. I was at Universal Studios at the time, right? I was at Universal Studios at the time when that happened, and I figured, you know what, man, I got to hop in and do this video. Plus, I had a really beautiful view behind me, right, overlooking the whole entire Universal Studios in my hotel. And this was a year ago. Check this out right here. Wow, my old videos now have commercials. All right.
You'll be matched with a TurboTax expert and get real-time updates on their progress. And you get your best outcome guaranteed. Switch to TurboTax Full Service.
And just like that, we just witnessed Dominic Reyes finally get a victory over Dustin Jacoby. A long time coming, I gotta be honest with you. We've known or thought that Jon Jones was defeated by Dominic Reyes, probably one of the hardest fights of his career. Afterwards, Dominic Reyes went on to lose to a whole bunch of contenders. By the way, you could hear the TV in the background. I was literally watching this in my hotel room. Look at the view in the back, though, man. Look at the mountains behind me, right? You know, and the California skyline behind me, bro. You know, ain't nothing like it. Future champions, and as a result, never got the full credit that he truly deserved. So as a result, here he is tonight, finally getting sort of a redemption in his career. Obviously, we've known that Dominic Reyes is capable of a lot more. However, the losing streak that he had going on, I think, was really detrimental to his career. But tonight, he finally proved that, you know what? I can go out there and show the world what I'm really made of. Not by fluke mistakes, not by the judges' scorecards, and not necessarily anything that has anything to do with anything that was outside of his control, but rather showing that he was in full control and in full swing of things with the first round TKO victory that he has over Dustin Jacoby, as I'm witnessing it right now, while he is right now being interviewed by Paul Felder as we speak. So here's something that I think is positive to say about the future of Dominic Reyes' career. We're finally going to see his true full potential. But not only that, I think we also have to understand that when it comes to this game... And we did. After this win, he had a 3-fight winning streak after the fact. And there are mountains and valleys and peaks. In other words, you have the highest high and the lowest lows when it comes to wins and losses. You also have a lot of 50-50 matchups where in MMA, everything is a total 50-50 coin toss. And many of those coin tosses that he's experienced, unfortunately, was not in his favor. Tonight, it was in his favor, and I got to be honest with you, I'm really excited to see Dominic Reyes in the future and what he can do, and what are some of the future matchups that are going to be in his particular path. But either way, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with Dominic Reyes in the near future, and we will go from here, inshallah. And then he went on to have 2 more wins after that. After those 2 more wins, then he goes against Carlos Ulberg, who is now a title contender. So, all right, what does this mean for his matchup against Johnny Walker? Well, let's take a look at where Johnny Walker has been, because obviously Johnny Walker has had his ups and downs in his career as well, right? So Johnny Walker, okay, 6'5", 206, has a win over Zhang Miang back in August. Prior to that, gets knocked out by Volkan Oezdemir, gets knocked out by Magomed. He gets knocked out by everybody, man. How many knockouts has this guy had? He's had 6 knockout losses already. He's had 2 decision losses, 1 no contest. and then gets submitted twice. Look, I'm gonna go with Dominic Reyes by decision on this one. Now, can he knock out Johnny Walker? No, he cannot. Well, he can. He can knock him out. But will a knockout happen in this fight? The answer is no. Probably not. What I think is going to happen is that he is going to circle around him. He's going to pick him apart long-range distance style, and he's going to win on points. I think he's going to outbox him, and he's going to win on points. So that's going to be my prediction on that one. Dominic Reyes by decision. All right, Cub Swanson versus Nate Landwehr. As much as I like Cub Swanson, this is a fight for Cub Swanson to lose. I think Cub Swanson is going to lose this one. Yeah, I think Nate Landwehr is going to knock him out probably in the first or second round. That's my official prediction on that one. Let's take a look at where Nate Landwehr has been in his whole entire career, okay? So let's see. Coming off of a 2-fight losing streak, but prior to that, gets a knockout win back in 2024. Gets knocked out by Dohoy. Gets knocked out by Morgan Charrier, the former Cage Warriors champion. Gets a decision loss against Dan Ige. Okay. I may have to go with Cub Swanson on this one right here. Let's see where Cub Swanson has been in his career. So Cub Swanson. Wow, man. All right, man. Cub Swanson has been in the UFC games since 2014. All right. All right, so he got Billy Contrarlo, gets a knockout from him. Split decision loss against Andre Fili. Decision loss against Hakeem Dawodu. Loses to Jonathan Martinez. Beats Darren Elkins. Loses to Giga Chikadze by body kick. Knocks out Daniel Pineda. Gets a decision over Kron Gracie. And then prior to that, he was on a 4-fight losing streak. Right? It's crazy how these guys bounce back from a 4-fight winning streak. So you had Brian Ortega, Frankie Edgar, Renato Moicano that he lost to, Shane Burgos, and then prior to that, yeah, the Artem Lobov fight. I remember that fight. Okay, lost to some big names here. Also had a fight against Chad Mendez. I remember that. Yeah, man, I think Cub Swanson walks out of this one with a unanimous decision win. Maybe a split decision win. That's what I'll go with. I'll go with Cub Swanson by unanimous decision. Although, I don't know, man. I wouldn't take two. Yeah, man, that's a tough fight. That is a tough fight to pick right there. Yeah, I'll go with Cub Swanson by decision. I think I'll go with Cub Swanson by decision. All right. Moving on to the prelims. Now, how about this, right? Talk about loser leaves town type of matchup, right? You got two Bellator guys who didn't really do too good in the UFC in the recent times, right? Now, how about Aaron Pico getting knocked out by LaRon Murphy, only for him to come back and fight a fellow Bellator guy? I might have to go with Aaron Pico. No, you know what? I'm going with Patricio Pitbull on this one by decision. That's going to be my official prediction on that one. I just think that Aaron Pico has proven over and over again why you can't trust him. And the reason being is because he's a very reckless fighter. I don't think he's going to get knocked out in this one. I don't think he's going to get knocked out. I think he's going to fight very careful. But I think that it's going to lead him into a loss, right? Into a unanimous decision loss. I think Patricio Pitbull is going to win by points. It's going to be a very close matchup. I could see Aaron Pico taking down Patricio Pitbull a couple of times, only for Pitbull to get right back up. Let's see where his career has been in the UFC so far. So he gets a loss over Yair Rodriguez and a win over Dan Ige. So 1-1 in the UFC right now. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Patricio Pitbull by decision on this one. Great main event prelims ender right there. This is basically the fight that's going to end the prelims right here. So, yeah, we'll go with him on that one. Okay, so next matchup at the prelims. You got Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown. Boy, we got some real matchups going on here, bro. We got some real heavy-hitting matchups going on here. So, Kevin Holland and Randy Brown. Very tough matchup. I think I'm going to have to go with Kevin Holland, right? The consistency that Kevin Holland constantly performs under, I think, is going to be too much for Randy Brown. Even though he's coming off of 2 losses, those are 2 unanimous decision losses against Mike Malott and Daniel Rodriguez. But let's take a look at where Randy Brown has been. Okay, so Randy Brown gets knocked out not too long ago, back in November. Gets a knockout win over Nicholas Dalby. Split decision against Brian Battle. That was a loss, by the way. I think I'm going to go with Kevin Holland by decision. Yeah, I think... Wait, let's see. Let's see. Has Randy Brown ever been submitted before? He has been submitted before. Okay, but that was a long time ago by Jack Della Maddalena. How many losses of submissions has he had right here? So only 2 submission losses. You know what? Let's go with an even bolder prediction on this one, right? It's easy to say decision. I'm going to go with Kevin Holland by submission. How about that? We'll go with Kevin Holland, 3rd round submission to be exact. They're going to be in a firefight, and then eventually it will lead into a finish by Kevin Holland. Gamrot versus Esteban Rovic. I'm going with Gamrot. Gamrot has proven why he's a top-level 155er, coming off of a loss against Charles Oliveira, but has a win over Ludwig Klein. Loses to Dan Hooker by split decision. So he only loses to the best. Now, what about Esteban? This is a big step up for Esteban right here. He hasn't really fought any names. He did beat Daniel Zellhuber, has a win over Terrence McKenna, has a split decision against Nasrat. Yeah, I'm going with Gamrot on this one. I think Gamrot gets a 3-round decision on this one. So we're going with Gamrot just based on the experience alone. Okay, so let's take a look at where Gamrot has been in his career. I think we saw that already, but let's take a look at it again. So Charles Oliveira, Ludwig Klein, and then his Esteban, his most recent one, is against Elvis Brenner, decision win, and then a split decision loss against So he only loses to the best guys. I'm talking about Gamrot. So I'm going to have to go with Gamrot on this one. All right. So moving on to the card. Let's see here. Okay, so we got Tatiana Suarez versus Gudin Lopez. Yeah, this is an easy win for Tatiana Suarez. Tatiana Suarez, one of the best wrestlers at 115. She's going to win this one easily. I think that she even submits Gudinez probably later on. Maybe even the 2nd or 3rd round. Okay, has a 2-fight winning streak going on. All decisions. All her fights have been nothing but decision losses, right? Has never been really knocked out. Yeah, all her losses were decision. I think this is the same. I think this is going to be... You know what? I don't think she's going to get knocked out or finished in this one or submitted. I think Tatiana Suarez is going to get a 3-round decision on this one. So Tatiana Suarez with a 3-round decision. And then we will be back for the rest of the cards. Well, what do we have here? We got Vicente Luque and Kelvin Gastelum. That's the rest of the card right there. So Vicente Luque and Kelvin Gastelum. Boy, that's a very good card, man. We got a lot of 50-50 matchups on this one. So Kelvin Gastelum. Let's take a look at both 34 years old. Both of these guys are willing to give a blood and guts type of matchup. You got Dustin Soltov, his unanimous decision win loses to Joe Pfeiffer. Unanimous decision win against Daniel Rodriguez. Gets submitted by Sean Brady. This is Kelvin Gastelum. Now let's take a look at where Vicente Luque has been, right? One of the biggest blood and guts fighter there is. So on a 2-fight losing streak, got submitted by Kevin Holland. Decision loss against Alvarez, Joel Alvarez. Has submitted Garumbo. Gets knocked out by Joaquin Buckley. Beats Rafael Dos Anjos. I might have to go with Kelvin Gastelum on this one. Right? The reason why I'm going with Kelvin Gastelum on this one is because I think Kelvin Gastelum has the gas tank. And not only the gas tank, but the wrestling to win. So, yeah, I go with Kelvin Gastelum by 3-round decision on this one. All right, I will be right back. I'm going to use the restroom real quick. I'm going to finish off the rest of Compton Rick Rock's video right here. I'll be right back.
Every single day is somebody that got beef with somebody.
Jive says, I'll go with Gastelum too. For sure. The reason why is because I think that Kelvin Gastelum has the wrestling. And not only that, I don't think that Vicente Luque is going to be able to stop those takedowns after takedowns. And yeah, I think that's just what eventually is going to happen. He's going to have a rinse and repeat performance where he takes him down over and over and over again. So, all right, I'll be right back.
On here that's trying to convince the next person to handle their business for them. I'm going to talk about this and talk about this till I make one of y'all mad enough to go do something to one of these dudes. And I'm going to tell you right now, you let somebody trick you off these streets over some YouTube talk, you a fool. Because the same cats that's talking about you, 9 times out of 10, they gonna make their business. They gonna make it their business to never cross your path. They gonna make it their business to never be in these environments where the goons and goblins gonna chew them up. So you basically on here beefing with somebody who gonna make another video once you get your butt smoked. Be a fool if you want to, homie. I'm not letting nobody trick me off the streets. Because the same people that's running their mouth, talking, I know exactly what to do to trigger them, but it'd be a waste of time. Because I know the game, I understand the game. I know these niggas ain't doing nothing, but trying to get a check. It's a lot of broke niggas on here trying to get in position. It's a lot of broke niggas on here trying to get that paper, and they done already sold they soul. A lot of the niggas you see on the internet that already sold they soul for a YouTube check. Nobody exempt from the program. If you on here from the streets, you're talking about the shit you don't supposed to be talking about. Guess what you have done? Sold your soul. They gonna say, Rock, you do the same thing. You do the same thing, Rock. Did you just hear what I said? Everybody that's on the internet running their mouth, talking about things they ain't got no business talking about, will be held accountable for everything they do. There's going to always be somebody that's going to feel like you in violation. Again, you better not let nobody trick your ass up off these streets. That's all I'm going to say to you. But for the guys they got a problem with always the LA, you LA dudes, you LA, and gang members is soft. Gang members is weak. Shut your ass up. Because every last one of you niggas out here say gang members is weak, gang members is soft, you gang members this, you gang members that. Once you load up another video, you hoe ass niggas be on here again, talking about blood, cuz, in your hood. If you're done with it, and you tired of LA gang members, if you're tired of gang bangers, then get your ass off the internet talking about blood, cuz, and crip, and power rule. If you're done with it, be done with it all the way. Ain't no half-stepping. Y'all looking crazy. I'm tired of these gang bangers. these gang members are weak. But then you hear blood or cuss come out their mouth after that on another video. That should let you know right then and there. These niggas want to be famous. As far as Drakeo the Ruler, who cares? Only people that should care about it is his kids, his mama, his daddy, his brothers and sisters, and his closest homies. Everybody else don't care. Because we all heard the song Ingleweird, and I like Drakeo the Ruler. We heard the song Ingleweird. If he didn't care when he made that song, and he got smoked, I don't care either. If Flacco don't care about the content that he makes against gang members if something happened, I don't care. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, everybody on here got to make their paper, got to make their bread, and if they feel like it's worth disrespecting to get it, then hey, I love it. I love a hustler. But at the end of the day, all games come to an end. And somebody see Rick Rock and smoke Rick Rock for some of the things I done said on here, guess what? I shouldn't have said it. All games come to an end. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to this.
All right, so yeah, addressing that idiot Jake on the comment section. Listen, you don't know a thing about me. Okay, number one, first and foremost, I don't have to explain anything to you. You know, it's not a conversation to, you know, really have that anybody could win, right? Because if I get in here and I start talking to you and I start flexing my gums or start flexing X, Y, and Z, guess what? You know, I'm going to be placed under heavy surveillance because I'm trying to prove to some guy over the internet. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? That's stupidity, you know? But once again, I mean, we're talking about people that are idiots online, right? People that don't understand anything, people who've never really been anywhere. But understand this, right? I know how to do some things. I know how to make your life a living hell. That's what I know, okay? And as far as beef goes with, you know, other YouTubers on this platform, listen, there's a guy that was from Sacramento that I had beef with. You know what ended up happening to him? He ended up getting into a divorce because the wife was so scared of our beef. So I don't know what else to tell you with that. If you can't read between the lines with that, you're an idiot. And I'm not going to sit here and try to justify myself to a bunch of idiots who've never been anywhere. Speaking of which, let's get to this next topic at hand with Jon Jones and his road rage incident, okay? Now, Jon Jones and his road rage incident. Really interesting stuff, right? Road rage. Jon Jones. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about right here. Road rage and Jon Jones. This is something that I've gotten into plenty of times, right? You don't know how many times I've followed people home based on honking at me or based on just not liking the fact that I drove a certain way. Now, look, it's important to understand nuances about this, right? Is this guy right? This guy that confronted him, is he right about all this? The truth is, yes, he's completely in the right to call out Jon Jones on this. At the same time, though, if nothing happened, if there was no accident, if there was no issues going on, or if you didn't bump your car or bump theirs, keep it moving. Who cares, man? Get up out of the way. Get up out of the way. You don't need to be there. You don't need to try and correct the situation. You know what? This is something that I often notice, right? Especially with older white dudes, right? They love to push the issue on this. Now, obviously, the person that was involved here with Jon Jones was a Mexican man. Not that that matters either way. But from my own anecdotal evidence and my own anecdotal experience, it is usually older white dudes that will try and push the issue with you on this particular topic. Mike Long says, I've been in road rage. I like fighting, but sometimes they can have guns. And guess what? Jon Jones in this situation had a gun. Okay? Try your luck with me in the streets. Okay? That's all I got to say. But let's go with Fight Society right here. He did a very good piece on this topic right here. Let's react to Fight Society and Jon Jones being a monster.
If you're a Jon Jones fan, turn this video off right now, because I'm about to give you a whole nother reason as to why you shouldn't be a Jon Jones fan. Jon Jones was...
So he's telling you, Fight Society is telling you shouldn't be a Jon Jones fan because he acts like a fighter. He acts like a warrior. Guess what, man? Warriors are not exactly the most intelligent people in the world, at least when it comes to certain decisions that they make. Not necessarily a person who is not a genius because of, let's say, you know, being able to problem solve X, Y, and Z. But I'm talking about the lack of intellectuality, the lack of mental discourse that goes on in your head when you are in conflict. This is literally what we're talking about right here with this one right here. But he's saying, yeah, you shouldn't be be fans of Jon Jones after this. Why not? Why not? I say, great. This is what he does. This is what I would do. If you try to get at me during a road rage incident, you better believe that there's going to be some consequences to pay if I can have anything to do with it.
Was involved in a serious road rage incident just yesterday where he ran somebody into a parking lot and potentially walked up on them with a weapon. So in this video, we're going to talk about just what's going on with Jon Jones and what he gets up to on a Saturday night, all right? So stick around to hear the full story. My name is Wyatt. Welcome to Fight Society. Subscribe down below. Follow on Instagram at Fight Society. Bullied and menaced and harassed people in Albuquerque, New Mexico, yet again. And this is not the first time that Jon Jones has had some sort of traffic incident that's gotten him in some serious trouble in Albuquerque, New Mexico, his hometown, or not where he's from, but where he lives. Now, this right here was posted by Brian Beltran, who had an encounter with Jon Jones less than 24 hours ago in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And right here it says, driving up Central close to Eubank, when I was almost hit 3 times by the truck. Even after I revved my car at him the first time, it almost happened. He still hit me almost twice after that. So I flipped him off, and then he proceeded to stop in the middle of the road, back up, and come to the same parking lot. The night before, another guy in a truck pulled out in front of me, so this was pretty annoying considering that it was...
Yeah, look, Brian Beltran, you're a bitch, bro. Straight up, man. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be putting all of this in the internet or this and that, right? Like, what are you trying to do? Lock up Jon Jones? And for what? Like, you think you're going to get something out of this? Like, I don't know, man. This is straight snitch behavior. F Brian Beltran and whatever he's going through.
It's the second time a guy in a truck can't drive. I guess those are Albuquerque drivers for you. Stay safe. By the way, I know it's Jon Jones. I didn't know who it was when I flipped him off, but I definitely realized who it was quick. No hate or hard feelings towards Jon, but I think he might need to take some driving classes because he almost hit him multiple times. I think he means hit me. Hopefully soon I make another video where we can shake hands and squash the beef. Edit. All of you with Jon's meat in your mouth, relax. It ain't that deep. I know he was a world champion. No, I don't think I could beat him in a fight. But like I said, he should still be more...
All right, look, I'm gonna have to agree with that part, right? I'm gonna have to agree with that part. Every time anybody has a problem with a fighter, the conversation always goes as follows. Well, he could beat your ass, or you don't want any problems with him, or this and that. And guess what, man? We live in America. We live, and they in particular live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where everybody is strapped. So you know what that means? That means there's a good chance that Jon Jones is going to run across somebody who's strapped. That is the equalizer. That is the ultimate equalizer right there. All these other YouTubers, all these other white boys on, MMA YouTube want to go and condemn Jon, this and that. I don't. I don't. It's not a situation that's deep. It's not really that deep, to be quite honest with you. It's not deep at all. But they want to make it deep because it's Jon Jones. And both sides want to make it deep. They want to make it about, oh, well, he has a drinking problem. We don't even know if that had anything to do with drinking or anything like that, or him drunk driving to a certain degree. Everybody wants to make out, oh, well, Jon Jones, did this, he did that, he committed domestic, violence or this, that, or the other. Yeah, but so do a lot of your other favorite fighters and athletes, and you still watch them anyway. I mean, we could name a whole list of famous people in terms of fighting, in terms of mainstream athletics that have conducted themselves in these particular matters, and you still watch them anyway. But all right, anyways.
Careful, being famous or trained doesn't matter when it comes to someone pulling a trigger. Anything can happen, and like I said, I don't carry and didn't try anything, so I'm not about to worry about it. So take a break from hopping on his shit, and that's what I feel. That's why I said at the top of this video, if you're a Jon Jones fan, don't watch this video. But here's the clip right here, recorded on Brian Beltran's Meta glasses, and he pulls off into a parking lot after almost being hit.
Albuquerque, Enum. Dude in a black Ford SVT. Pickup truck swerved 3 times. Into my lane, almost hits my Nissan 1.8 OSX. So I flip him off, then this happens.
And so you see the guy's looking around, gets out of the car.
What, bro? Try to get into.
And look who's walking up. Our very good friend, Jon Jones. Friend of the channel, by the way.
You're almost fucking hitting me, bro.
And you see, from the way he has his hand in this jacket right here, it very clearly looks like he has a loaded weapon, given that he has one hand in the jacket. And it looks like...
I say good. Good. Great that Jon Jones has a weapon. You don't know what type of people there are out there. Great that he has a weapon. I'm glad that he has a weapon. He should have a weapon.
He could be holding his fist like this. Maybe he was about to punch the guy. Maybe he has a loaded weapon. You really don't know. But it certainly looks like Jon Jones came over with some ill intent before he eventually thought it over. Yeah, exactly. Most likely packing a gun from the look of his hand in his jacket. And you can see the shape of it right there.
You gotta calm down, bro.
Yeah, bro, you gotta learn how to drive, bro.
You gotta relax yourself, bro.
And you hear it in Jon's voice. He sounds a little bit impaired. He does sound impaired.
You're almost hit.
I agree with Jon Jones. This guy should calm down a little bit, okay? He should calm down a little bit. It's not that serious. If I was him, I would drive away, okay? Because this has nothing to do with anything. I don't know this guy from a can of paint. He didn't even realize it was Jon Jones until he walked up to him. You know what I mean? Leave it alone. And this is what I mean. These same old white dudes that try to, come after me, during traffic or, whenever, I cut them off or, or run past them or whatever, right? They seem to have, how do you know that I don't got an emergency going on? How do you know that I don't have, somewhere to go? Leave it alone. It doesn't matter what it is. Leave it alone. Right? You're not the cops. If you're not the cops and you're not out there trying to give anyone tickets or you're not out there trying to pull anybody over, leave it alone. So I agree with Jon on this one. He says, I like how Jon Jones lives his life however he wants. Exactly, man. Exactly. And, and sometimes, man, you got to leave cuz alone, bro. You know what I mean?
Hitting me with your truck, bro. You're almost hitting me, bro. What the fuck? In my fucking lane and shit, bro. Come on.
This guy got off lucky because Jon Jones, ask Jon Jones' wife. Jon Jones is capable of a whole lot more things than just sticking a middle finger in someone's face.
I'm definitely capable of a lot more things as well, right? I would probably beat the living heck out of you right there, right? But I don't know if Jon knew that he had a camera on him or not. But luckily, he made the right decision this time because the dude did have a camera on him. He had a Meta glasses camera on him. So, yeah, that's good. That's good that he didn't do anything because that would have been all bad.
Getting this from Jon Jones is a slap on the wrist. Because he could have came away from this injured severely just because it's Jon Jones and he's a dangerous fighter, but also it's Jon Jones and he's a dangerous fighter, if you know what I mean. He's a scary, mentally ill abusive guy. I mean, just ask his wife. So you see, this is a really, really interesting video for Jon Jones because he actually showed her some restraint. I'm sure he might have went and whatever anger he had towards Brian Beltran, he might have taken out on his wife when he got home. Not saying that's funny, but fuck Jon Jones. You guys know.
I mean, look, listen, you know, enough with this, right? Like, this is what I mean, right? Like, a lot of you dudes are simps, like, straight up, man. A lot of you dudes are simps. I'm going to tell you and be honest with you about this. Why do you need to bring that up? Why do you need to bring up his, you know, domestic situation or this, that, and the other, which is completely irrelevant to this, but I get it. You know, it's YouTube. We have to say things for the sake of entertainment, and we have to say things for the sake of looking like a white knight hero, right? That's literally why this guy Wyatt is saying that. Look, I got nothing against Wyatt. Okay, he's a content creator just like myself. I'm a content creator. He's fought before. I fought before, right? We're doing the same things. We're in the same industry. I get it. What I also get is that you have to say things in order to be provocative and also play the white knight a little bit. But I'm going to be honest and call it what it is.
We stand on this channel. And Jon Jones has spoken out on the incident where he said, this kid proceeded to chase my car down 2 blocks, revving his engine and trying to intimidate me. I'm glad this happened to me and not one of the senior citizens in our community.
Oh, this is great. This is great. I love this. I love this. This is classic Jon Jones right here. He said, as long as it wasn't one of the senior citizens, oh, Conor McGregor, you know.
Proud of myself for standing up for myself and not allowing any kind of bullying or intimidation. He walked up with a fucking loaded gun, potentially, allegedly, in my opinion, it kind of looked like. But Jon Jones got rage baited by just some kid driving a loud car. And he just goes up and he flips the guy off, intimidates him by having his hand in the pocket. So, if anything, I'd say Jon Jones was bullying this guy, to be completely honest with you. And if you go back to the video where he says in the caption, he says, I was almost hit 3 times by the truck, even after I revved my car at him the first time, which, why don't you honk? Why don't you just get out of the way? I mean, I live in LA. There's some fucking crazy-ass drivers around here. And when I see somebody swerving, speeding, fucking doing donuts in the middle of an intersection, I don't, like, involve myself, rev my engine and shit like that. I'm just like, oh, shit, I'm gonna go this.
Cole Old says, when Conor was offering Khabib whiskey at the press conference, it was very disrespectful. I'm glad Khabib beat him. Yup.
This way. I'm gonna go the other direction. So this guy was kind of asking for a little bit of like an issue, you know, because he was being, I guess he was exacerbating the situation by...
Okay, and that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. That is exactly what I'm talking about right there. Look, if I cut you off in the middle of traffic, don't follow me. Do not follow me. I've had so many people try and follow me just because I cut them off in the middle of traffic. One of them was a female, by the way, which is weird in and of itself, because it's like, well, what are you trying to do here, right? Like, do you realize, like, what if I'm not right in the head? What if I decided, you know what, I'm just going to crash out on you right now? What if I just decided, you know, I'm going to go and bang on your car, I'm going to throw stuff at your car, I'm going to throw a bowling ball at your car, bottles, whatever it is that I could find to damage whatever you have going on? What if I decided to do that? Leave it alone. That is the main thing that you got to understand about this. Leave it the F alone. And some people just don't understand that.
What he did to Jon Jones. But Jon Jones, just the sociopath, compulsive liar that he is, says that he defended himself from bullying and intimidation. He's talking about...
You mean he's a fighter? Is that what you mean? Like, you mean that he behaves like a fighter? Okay.
Bullying as a 40-year-old man. I mean, you genuinely see that Jon Jones has the mindset of like a 14-year-old boy, whether that's from abuse in his childhood, getting hit in the head, whatever it is. Jon Jones has got...
It's called arrested development. Let me explain what that means, right? Arrested development is something that you see with people who have played sports all their lives. Let me explain what I mean by that, right? What I mean by arrested development. You ever seen a guy that's in his mid-20s, right, who works at a corporate office, and then you see those same demographics of people that are in their mid-20s that work in, let's say, the NFL, people that play pro sports. their life experience is going to be different than that of that 25-year-old who has to live in a corporate setting. You're in a corporate setting, you're told to shut up, you're told to not have a personality, you're told to not post outrageous things online because your employer is going to see it. Meanwhile, the athletes that are in their mid-20s, guess what they're doing? They're developing arrested development because whatever type of lifestyle they lived in high school wrestling, in high school basketball, in college basketball, in college wrestling, in college football, in high school football, they are still living that life even after the fact of their high school and college career. So now they're carrying that lifestyle into their pro life. So of course, they're going to act differently. Everybody always tells you, oh, you got to act more mature. You got to be more mature, this and that. No, you got to act mature because you work for a corporate office that forbids you to say things online, monitors your social media presence. On top of that, monitors your behavior even outside of work. Meanwhile, these guys get to have all the fun. They get to have all the shenanigans that they engaged in when they were in high school. It is no different than when they are in the pros. That's really what it comes down to. It is an arrested development issue, for better or worse. Because for better, meaning that, you know what, you are expressing your youth, you are living like you're youthful, you are living like you are still young again, but at the same time also detrimental in some cases where, you know, it can come across as really immature or something out of character within a man of your age range.
Got some fucking demons. And you see right here, like, I'm not even trying to dox, bro, because, you know, he posts about it. He runs a business from his Instagram. He has a public account. You can see just how Jon Jones fans are. And this is why I said at the top of this video, if you're a Jon Jones fan, don't watch this video. Because this right here is a slideshow of him on a trip and all that stuff, of him with his girlfriend and all that. They seem like a nice young couple, whatever. And people, Jon Jones fans in the comments, exactly what I expected you to look like. Jones would have done unspeakable things to you and made your woman watch. Old Jones would have beat both of y'all up. That one's a joke. That one's pretty funny. But that's what I'm saying, is that Jon Jones fans fucking, they co-sign this shit. This guy
How about this? What the F are you doing in Albuquerque? You should go back to Mexico. Oh, man. Bro is going hard on him on this one right here. He says you should go back to Mexico. He says, are you Dagestani? No, I'm Arabic.
He's a woman beater. He's an alcoholic. He does terrible, terrible things. And this guy was in serious danger, and he didn't even really know it. And his fans fucking co-sign it like it's his fault. So this is crazy shit, man. Like Jon Jones, his fans, I hate that shit so much. A stain on the MMA community. If you look, this is what Jon Jones was witnessing back when he was doing the ALF or ALF reality show in Thailand. It's like the Russian tough, people are calling it. And this is what Jon Jones and DC witnessed when they coached against each other. And you see, like, these guys are just beating the shit out of each other in a house. I know you guys have seen clips of this, but this is crazy shit. Like, they're doing MMA fighting, slamming each other on their head on marble floor. DC's fucking traumatized. This is the shit that's going on in the ALF house. They're not even fighting in a cage for the most part. They're fighting in a house. And you guys remember these same guys were doing shit to Nate Diaz. I mean, this shit was just crazy. This is the shit going on in this fucking house. I mean, look at this. Guys are covered in blood. The house is a mess. They're swinging brooms at each other. I mean, this is just crazy shit. Like, this is the shit that's, like, they're covered in blood. This was Jon Jones, and this is a meme from Tony Has Died. Shout out to THD. But this was Jon and DC's reaction. And Jon, he saw that, and he was like, damn. Like, look at Jon's face. He goes, damn, those are some moves I haven't used on my wife yet. And then he came home, looked at his wife, and he said, no, she hasn't recovered from the last beating.
Okay, so once again, right, I don't understand what is the point of bringing that up. Again, I think you're just, trying to be a white knight. I think that's just what it really is. I think a lot of dudes are, a lot of dudes are simps, bro. Like, really, a lot of simps. Like, look, man, I know you guys joke around with me about, like, my confrontations that I had in the sauna. I had a confrontation off camera in the sauna with this Arab dude, okay? He comes up to me. He's one of these bodybuilding type of dudes or whatever, which kind of just, really indicates everything, right? It indicates the fact that he was jealous of me, that I'm right there in the sauna, basically shadow boxing. And then he says to me, hey, you are upsetting the women that are in this, sauna. And I'm like thinking, you don't even know these people here, right? They're not even saying anything to me. They're not even saying anything to you. And then you want to come in here and be a white knight, bitch, and flat out, mention a whole bunch of stuff that has nothing. He says simping is at an all-time high. D-Man, yes, correct. This is an example of simping, bro. Like, who cares what Jon Jones does behind closed doors? Okay, because, look, man, here's something you got to understand. This is probably something your parents have gone through, but they're not famous people, okay? That's really what it comes down to. Hey, Guillermo, shout outs to you, my man, with a $2 super chat. Shout outs to G. Shout outs to G, man. Shout outs to you, Argentino, man. How you been, bro? Hey, bro, I want to talk soccer with you for a little bit, right, before I get back into this Jon Jones. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about Italy getting knocked off from the World Cup, right? Because it's highly unusual. Italy is always up there in the World Cup. Right now they're not, because they got knocked off by Bosnia. And, as a Manchester City guy, Donnarumma, our goalie, he was going to play for the Italian team. And I really would have loved to see him get tested on an international level. Obviously, we see him get tested on the Premier League level. But, really sad times for Italian football. Let me know what you think about that, my man. All right, so back to Jon Jones and, what Wyatt is talking about with this one right here.
I got to drive around drunk and see if I can cause some havoc to get somebody to get...
By the way, he's not from Argentina. He is Italian, by the way. He's an Italian that was raised in the East Coast and lives out here in the West Coast as well. So shout outs to Argentino on that one, man.
Into an argument with
Giuliano Argentino. Shout out to you, my man.
and this is what Jon Jones does, bro. Jon Jones, this guy doesn't understand how fucking lucky he got with this happening. And I'm sure Jon Jones is going to have some fucking stupid story about how this is not his fault, because nothing's ever his fault. Literally nothing's ever his fault. This is not the first time Jon Jones, in my opinion, allegedly, was driving around Albuquerque doing random...
All right, well, here's the difference, right, between me and Jon Jones. Here's what I will say. These same road rage incidents that I got into, I will say it is my fault, okay? Me cutting somebody off, okay? Me cutting the line from someone at a Starbucks line, okay? That's my fault. But what are you going to do about it? That is the question. Yeah, it's my fault. Yeah, I cut you off on the road. But what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Because I'm willing to commit violence in ways that you're not. So let's find out. Are you willing to commit violence in the name of defending your honor? And most of you are not. That's the God honest truth. I don't mean to be a bully. I don't mean to sound like, like X, Y, and Z or whatever. But a lot of you do not train for violence. I do. I train for violence on a daily basis. I would love for somebody to test me on that. And you know what? Here's the thing, right? Here's what's crazy about being a psychotic, deranged lunatic. You really find out who is about that life. You really find out. You see all these dudes that say that they're gangster, all these dudes that wear red rags or blue rags or this, that, and the other. You really find out if they're gangster or not. Because I've ran across these types of dudes, and quite frankly, there's a lot of them, okay? There's a lot of them that will oblige you for that. But man, I'm going to be honest with you, it's been a long time since I've had anybody come and really accept my challenge, right? In the middle of a road rage incident. Most people are punks. Most people are cowards, and most people don't train for violence, let alone having to deal with Jon Jones. Out of all people, okay? Now, on a daily basis, you're not going to run across Jon Jones at a road rage incident. The majority of people that you're going to run across are people who are untrained, people who are out of shape, and people who don't think about violence until they're mad. You see, that is a difference between me and other human beings. I think about violence literally 24/7. 24/7, I think about violence. I think about it in a way where I'm going to be prepared for it, I'm going to train for it, and I'm going to get down for it. The majority of human beings are not like that. The majority of human beings are only violent when they are mad or upset. I don't need to be mad or upset to get violent. You know, it is my nature. He says, don't get shot, bro. You never know when someone goes nuts. I'm ready for that too. I'm ready for that too, bro. You don't, man, I don't want to speak further on that, but I'm ready for all of it. XXX, what up, Young King? Shout out to you, my man. Not necessarily young, although I look young, but all right. I'll take that as a compliment. Shout out to you. He says, hate love. Hey, my man. Shout out to you guys. All right, we got some interactions going on. But yeah, man, that's what it comes down to. Most people are not prepared for violence. They only think they're prepared for violence when they're mad. Oh, I want to beat somebody's ass right now. Well, okay, what did you do months prior to that? What kind of training did you do months prior to you to want to beat somebody's ass? Because I train for that every day. D-Man says, do you think you'd be able to take on Jones in a similar situation if you had a crowbar on you? 100%. 100%. If that was me and Jon Jones in there, I would, well, let me just say this, right? Look, number one, the likely of that happening is very slim. Obviously, if Jon Jones was going to be in California, he's going to have people driving him. And if I was going to be in Albuquerque, I would have Uber drivers driving me. So the chances of us getting into a road rage incident is very slim, just of that, you know, margin alone. But what I will say, hypothetically, in a situation like that, I would be prepared for someone like that, even if it had to go with the ultimate form of violence, if you know what I mean.
Some weird shit with a loaded gun and drunk. I mean, this was him years ago. So, you know, Jon doing sobriety tests, and then they end up looking through his car, and I believe there was a loaded weapon in the car because he did get arrested for firing shots up into the air out of the sunroof of his car, I think it was.
Hold on. Okay, I'll give you 2 handcuffs, okay? Okay.
And that's the type of shit that she says, I have anxiety. This is Jon Jones driving around Albuquerque. And if you guys remember the full video, I mean, like, let me go back to part of...
Yeah, you dumbass white boy. What else is he supposed to say? Is he supposed to say, like, yeah, come get me. I did wrong, so I'm going to admit to everything that I do wrong. I mean, like, what a white boy thing to say, in all honesty. Like, of course Jon is going to say he has anxiety. If a cop is right in front of you, listen to me, guys. If a cop is right in front of you, say anything that will get you out of it, except for snitching, obviously. But if you can make any excuses, do it. I swear to God, do it. Okay? You're not obligated to tell the cop anything. You're not obligated to be in favors with the cops. Because remember, by the end of the day, the cops, they have a career. They're not there to serve and protect. They're there to serve their career. Like everybody else, okay? They are there to serve their career, so act accordingly as a result of that.
For the beginning of it, some of it's edited out, which kind of sucks, but Jon Jones driving around Albuquerque with a bottle of vodka and red cups, handing it out to homeless people, looking for homo guys. We've talked about this before.
That was my first drive in 2 weeks. I saw these homo guys.
I saw these homo guys?
These guys, I was being nice to them, having a conversation with them, treating them like humans. Okay. And you said you had short-term memory loss? Sometimes you get punched in the head? Yes, sir. Okay, so we are going to do alternative tests as well. Okay.
And so he was looking for homo guys. He ends up getting arrested. And this is what Jon Jones does. Clearly, he's been arrested for it. And he had a loaded weapon here. He did get arrested. And I know some of you guys hate when I use the AI overviews and videos, but this really is the easiest way to just get you guys the digestible information very quickly. And here you see right here, March 26th, 2020. So we're talking about the same arrest right here. On March 26th, 2020, UFC fighter Jon Jones was arrested in Albuquerque, New Mexico for aggravated driving while intoxicated, negligent use of a firearm, possession of an open container, and driving with no proof of insurance. Police found a handgun and a nearly empty bottle of alcohol in his car after investigating gunshots. Officers found Jones in a running vehicle around 1 a.m. His blood alcohol content was recorded at 0.16, which is twice the legal limit. He was charged with aggravated DWI, negligent use of a firearm, because he allegedly fired the gun up into the air while he was driving around the streets of Albuquerque, like he shot out of the sunroof. And then it says, footage revealed police investigating the scene after hearing
I happen to think that's really the most American thing you can do, right? You know, firing shots into the air. Why not?
gunshots. Jones later reached a plea agreement where he avoided jail time. So this is the same arrest. And so this wouldn't be the first time that Jon Jones was driving around Albuquerque, New Mexico, drunk with kind of no purpose. He's kind of just driving around with a loaded gun under the influence of alcohol. I mean, like, it's not funny because Jon Jones is a very troubled person, and I hate on him a lot for beating on his wife, cheating in the cage, using steroids, all these different things. But he is a very...
All right. So this whole thing about cheating in the cage, right? Let's really talk about this, right? Everyone, I literally mean everyone, okay? And maybe even some of my favorite fighters, if you know what I mean, okay? Everyone has taken steroids at one point of their career, or has taken some sort of banned substance that would be deemed illegal. Just saying. It's rather weird. It's rather weird that, you know, they bring these things up. But anyways, yeah. Let's see here.
Fucking troubled guy. Like, that's the fact of the matter is Jon Jones is a troubled guy. And I understand people with substance abuse. Very close with people with substance abuse and all of that. This is an alcoholic, a drug addict, somebody with CTE. I'm very familiar with this pattern of behavior. And so this right here, loaded gun, driving around for no reason, drunk. You hear it in his voice. Yeah, most likely packing. Yeah, remember that part.
You gotta calm down, bro.
Yeah, bro, you gotta learn how to drive, bro. You
gotta relax yourself, bro.
And you hear the difference in their voices. You gotta learn how to drive from Brian Beltran. And then you have Jon Jones being like, you gotta calm down, bro. Like, he's not getting the words out. And so here we have another episode of Jon Jones. And really, he saw all of this and he was like, damn, I got some new techniques to learn on the wife right here. You know, his wife, maybe she just took too much damage.
I mean, really, just a whole bunch of pejorative terms from Wyatt. But anyways.
You know, she had a medical suspension from the State Athletic Commission. He decided that Brian Beltran was the next target. So you guys let me know. Jon is obviously not coming back to the UFC. He has 6 more fights left on his deal, and they don't want to pay him enough to bring him back. So Jon Jones is definitely retired from the UFC. Dana White has said it that he's probably not going to fight again either. And this is just another, this is a very troubled guy. Even Chandler Jones, his brother, same type of thing. And then Arthur was the only one without any real problems, and he passed away, unfortunately. So, guys, there we have another bullet point on the long list of Jon Jones transgressions when it comes to substance abuse, reckless driving, threatening people in public. I mean, even if you go back to when he beat his wife in Vegas and headbutted the cop car and all of that. So, sad story, but you guys know me. Fuck Jon Jones. He gets no bit of sympathy from me. I just feel bad that he has kids and that there's people in this city and his wife that, have to deal with the blowback. He uses everybody, literally and figuratively, as a punching bag. So, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Fuck Jon Jones. I'll see you guys next time. Do you want more?
All right, listen, he's entitled to his opinion, obviously. I don't agree with it, but that's the beauty of MMA community, right? That is the beauty of MMA community. We all have a different opinion on certain matters. That's his opinion. I have a different opinion on that matter. By the end of the day, man, Wyatt from Fight Society is a white boy. You know what I mean? Of course he's going to have these opinions. You know, for me, you know, threatening someone, getting into a road rage incident, that's a daily occurrence for me. That is a daily occurrence for me. It ain't no thing. You know what I mean? It ain't no thing. You know, we get down with them things, and that's just what it really comes down to. You know, if you don't want none, don't do nothing. Don't try to run up on me. Don't try and chase me down. And I've told you, I've had plenty of situations like this before. Dudes will actually go out of their way to try and chase me down the street to confront me over some sort of traffic infractions. You're not the cops. Leave it alone. And that's exactly what you should do. Leave it alone. If you're not the cops, get out of the way. Get out of the freaking way. All right? But with that said, what else are we going to talk about with the topic matters at hand today? Obviously, the other topic that we're going to talk about, so we went over Drakeo The Ruler, UFC 327 fight coverage. We got the whole full card prediction on that one. Now let's get to, he says, I agree with you, Kyrie. Hey, shout out to you, Mark Haney, my man. Shout out to you, my man. Yeah, dude, that's really what it is. Look, you know how it is, Mark. You know, we come from different cultures than a normal average person, right? You know, and that's even with people in MMA, right? Even with MMA people, even with wrestling people, even though they're combat sports people that we're surrounded with, right? You being surrounded by your son and his wrestling team, you know, me being surrounded by people that come from the MMA world, they come from a combative culture, but they're not combative people, okay? And that's really what it comes down to, right? He says, I was not chasing you. I only want yo damn autograph. Oh, man. Is that in reference to Jon Jones? He says, yeah. If you want them funk and pursue it with me, you're going to get it. I believe you have to fight to keep peace. Correct. Correct, man. Look, man, it really baffles me that you know how many times I've been in you know, road rage situations where a person actually followed me, and I've done it on the other side as well. You know, I've followed people home while we were in a road rage incident. And they're like, man, you know what? I don't know. It was one of them days where, like, you know what? I'm just not going to let this guy flip the finger on me. I'm going to follow him and say, man, what's up, man? You know what I mean? We're going to get down with the get down and find out what's what. I've done this before, right? But on the other side, I've had people that have followed me before. The one person that followed me after you know, a traffic infraction. Here's another thing, right? That's the difference between me and Jon Jones. I will admit when I actually have done wrong in this situation. Of course I have. I'm trying to get from one point A to point B. I don't really give a F about what you got going on. You know, whether I'm trying to get to, you know, work on time, or whether I'm trying to get to my son's school on time, or trying to get to X, Y, and Z, or just trying to get to the gym in time because I don't want to deal with, you know, parking issues. Whatever reason why I'm rushing or why I'm cutting people off, okay, I'm going to take the full responsibility of that. Okay, yes, that is something that you should not do on a normal basis. But if I do it and you decide to follow me, man, that one time a girl literally followed me from my house in West Sacramento all the way to downtown Sacramento. And I'm like thinking, what the F are you doing? And I'm like, you know, and I was going to be a little bit merciful because obviously it's a girl, right? You know, I'm not going to go crash out on no female, you know, unless it was like a face-to-face confrontation. I roll the window down and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you understand there's some real dangerous people out here, right? You know, this is Sacramento. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand how dangerous Sacramento can be and the type of dangerous people that are around here. Is Stockton included as well, but obviously that's 40 minutes of a drive down on the I-5 from here. But nonetheless, dangerous place nonetheless, and you decide to go do that. And so then I roll the window down and I'm like, what are you doing? You know what that person said to me? Well, no, actually, I said something to that person at first. I said, listen, if you got a problem, call the cops. Okay, call the cops. And by the way, let me give you guys a little bit of a disclosure. This was a black woman, okay? And so when I said call the cops, that could have meant a whole wide range of things. When I said to her, call the cops, my intention and my meaning with that was to say, if you really feel that you got done wrong, go call the cops and see what they say. Because I know what they're going to say. They're not going to do anything. Now, the way that she interpreted that as, okay, well, here's an Arab guy, because remember, you know, this is a woman that doesn't know me from a can of paint, right? She's probably thinking, okay, you know what? He's saying call the cops, and I'm a black woman. So in other words, he probably feels that as, you know, an Arab guy, that maybe the cops, you know, are going to have his back more than mine, right? That's the interpretation that she had. So then she goes and he says, call the cops. Why don't you just be a better person? And I'm like, I was so dumbfounded, like, you're following me, and I'm thinking this is going to be a violent interaction, and all that you're doing is saying, you know what, be a better person. Like, I don't need to hear that from you. Yeah, of course, be a better person, but why do I need to hear that from you in the first place? I don't need to hear that from you. He says, would love this. Oh, yeah, for sure. Anybody would love this, obviously, but yes. So that's that. Moral of the story, guys. You know, if you are in a traffic infraction, leave it alone. Because there's plenty of guys that have cut me off while I was driving or swerved me off or this and that. And hey, if nothing happened, leave it alone. Just move on to the next thing or move on from point A to point B to where you were going in the first place. So, all right, so what else? Okay, the Iran situation. Let's get to the Iran war updates right now. Okay, so Trump says Iran could be taken out in one night during a news conference. Yeah, but why didn't you? Trump warns Iran has a Hormuz deadline is final. So, all right, this is what we got so far, right? As of April 6, 2026, okay, the war between the U.S.-led coalition and Iran is at a critical juncture, okay, categorized by intense military strikes, a looming deadline for a major escalation, and stalled ceasefire negotiations, okay? This is according to CNN. So, major military developments, okay, airman rescue operations. President Trump recently confirmed the successful rescue of 2 airmen whose F-15 jet was shot down over Iran. 1 airman was rescued shortly after the crash, while the second one was extracted from a remote mountain terrain on Easter Sunday after a harrowing multi-agency operation. He says, what are you talking about today? Okay, so a whole wide range of things. Earlier, we talked about the Jon Jones Road Rage incident. We talked about UFC 327. I did a full card breakdown on that one. Predictions. Right now, we're talking about the Iran war update. And then we also talked about Drakeo the Ruler and why his killer self-snitched on himself. And yeah, now here we are with the Iran situation right now. So, okay. So obviously, that operation, symbolically enough, had taken place on Easter Sunday, okay? And of course, you know, they're going to make a religious type of connection behind that, right? Oh, they were rescued on Easter Sunday. How glorious of this, okay? So, all right, let's talk about the infrastructure strikes that are going on, right? Israeli and U.S. Forces have intensified their strikes on Iran, okay? Petrochemical plants, okay, including massive South Pars facility at Azalui, I believe it's pronounced, which accounts for 50% of Iran's petrochemical production. All right? Strikes have also targeted military airfields in Tehran and Iranian-linked militias in Iraq. So, Emily says, Trump has no choice. He messed up. Yeah, he did. He absolutely did. It's one of those situations where he really can't bring himself out of it because he's fully... It's kind of like this, right? You talk smack to the school bully, right? Or whoever. It doesn't have to be a bully. Anybody in your school. And everybody in your school knows it. Oh, I'm going to go beat this guy up. Okay, and then at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, depending on what time... you get out of school. All right, we're gonna meet at the schoolyard. We're gonna meet in in the baseball field or wherever, right, in the basketball courts, and we're gonna go have a fade. Now you can't back away from that fade, right? You have to follow through with it because you said that you're going to do this. You made threats, and a lot of people are now interested. So now you have to go and do this. You got to go and run the fade. He says this is not a war, it's a terrorist attack on Iran. You can call Iran terrorists without looking at the U.S. and Israel first. Okay. Okay, so obviously the Iranian-linked militias in Iraq were also targeted. How about the retaliatory strikes that came as a result of this, right? Well, Iran and its axis of resistance, as they call it, right, partners between Hezbollah and the Houthis have launched retaliatory missiles and drone barrages. Recent attacks hit residential areas in Haifa, Israel, and also the oil infrastructures in Kuwait. Who said that I can't see? That I can't see? What do you mean? Are you saying you're not able to see something or not able to see the chat? Let me know what you mean by that. All right, so the diplomatic crisis and deadlines that are going on here, right? The Hormuz ultimatum. Okay, so President Trump has set a final deadline of 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, April 7th. That's tomorrow. Okay, so that's going to probably be 5 p.m. Eastern, Western time for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, he has threatened to destroy Iran's power plants, bridges, and other civilian infrastructures if the waterway remains blocked. Look, the Strait of Hormuz is a very important matter in terms of geopolitical, economic strife that could cause the United States. J5 says, wait a minute, hold on, pause for a second. I don't understand what you mean by that. But anyways, Hate Love says, chat, look on the live chat setting. It's default for top comments. You need to change it for all messages. Okay, got it, okay. All right, so the ceasefire rejection, okay? A proposal for a 45-day ceasefire, okay, by the way, mediated by Pakistan, Egypt, and Turkey. What did I tell you guys in the very beginning, right? I told you that Egypt was in communication with Iran about this whole thing, right? And now you got them as the top three countries as the diplomatic mediator of this. You got Pakistan, Egypt, Turkey, okay? And it was all formally rejected by Tehran. Okay, so Iranian officials stated that they would only accept a permanent end to war with guarantees against future aggression and lifting sanctions. So now, he says, oh, I'm trying to catch up. Got it. Okay, and I'm just taking notes. J5 says, taking notes. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so casuals and humanitarian impact. Okay, since you're taking notes, hopefully this can be of some valuable information to you, okay? So the regional death total, okay, it is reported that fatalities exceed around 5,200 people across the Middle East since the major combat operations began in late February. Let me repeat that number again. 5,200 people across the Middle East, okay? National estimates, over 1,900 to 2,000 deaths have been reported following the joint U.S.-Israeli strikes. Lebanon, approximately 1,400 to 1,500 people killed with over 1 million displaced. Now, this is Lebanon, okay? He says, how do I unblock the people that I blocked in the past so I can see what they're saying? Oh, man, that I don't know. Achilles says, oh, dang. He says, thank you for repeating as well. Got to pump those numbers up. Okay, so, all right, Lebanon. Going back to the numbers, right? Lebanon, 1,500 people and over 1 million displaced out of their homes. The United States, 13 service members have been killed in the conflict. By the way, there's people out there saying that there's more. There's more people that have died in the U.S. side. And obviously, with the type of personality that Pete Hegseth has and the type of personality that Trump has, I wouldn't put it past them to exaggerate the numbers or not be truthful of the numbers. Emily says, Lebanon will be the next Gaza. He says, you blocked me, so I'm going to tell you how to unblock them. There's definitely more people that died. You're talking about the U.S. side, right? Because, yeah, that's what I mean. I think 13 is a generous number. I would say it's right around the hundreds right now. Yeah, I would say it's around the hundreds right now. I think they're hiding. They're hiding the people that have actually died because it's not good. It's not good for the morale of people. And on top of that, there's already a problem. There's already a problem with recruiting. He says, yeah, in the hundreds for sure. Evil Cena. What was that? He says WWE sucks, you suck. Okay, because I have a WWE belt in the background. Okay. Hey, I told you guys, that belt behind me is a conversation starter. All right, now what about Israel? At least 23 civilians and 11 soldiers have died. That is the official number right now. 23 civilians and 11 soldiers have died. And that is according to the New York Times. Now, I think that number is a lie. I honestly think that number is a lie. I really do. Right? Of course the Israelis are going to lie about their numbers because it's going to look humiliating for them. He says, behave, please. I timed you out for 1 minute. He says, sorry to judge you in the past for being a Muslim. You're a very smart guy. Thank you. Thank you for that. You know what? I'm glad that I was able to change your mind on that because, look, I think that we all grew up where we grew up, and as a result of growing up where we grew up, we're just not going to like certain people, okay? Now, for example, I grew up not liking the Shias, right? I grew up not liking Iranians because, obviously I'm a Sunni Muslim guy, and we were taught to hate the Iranians. We were taught to hate the Shias. Then I meet a few Shias in college. You know what? They're not so bad people. Now, we may have a disagreement. We have a different disagreement when it comes to, religious doctrines, even though they are Muslim, but they're a different kind of Muslim. But nonetheless, yeah. He says, I still don't like Islam, don't think it belongs here, but I respect you now. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And you know what? Maybe you may change your mind about Islam as well, but who knows? You are very young, and on top of that, a whole lot of inexperience that you have a lot of experience actually, like myself. When I was younger, I've had a lot of, world traveling experiences, right? But at the same time, that didn't stop me from being an intolerant person. But along the way, I had to learn, and meeting the right people and things of that nature, I think changes your mind. But either way, it's a beautiful thing to hear. All right, so let's talk about the economic and global consequences of this entire war, right? It goes like this. Energy markets. Oil prices remain volatile as traders weigh in the risk of full-scale infrastructure destruction against the possibility of the last-minute diplomatic breakthrough. Now, what about global inflation? It's very important to talk about this, right? The conflict is triggering global energy shocks, prompting countries like China and Greece to accelerate plans for energy security and industrial aid. Okay, so what exactly does that mean? Let's find a particular article on this particular matter right here. Hold on a second. Let's see. Okay, so you. Hate Love says, watch your mouth. I could say a lot worse and truths about your own kind. Yeah, you know what? Hate Love. Here's one thing that I will say about that, right? This is something that it may shock you, but I think you can kind of understand. Islam does not belong in the West. It doesn't, right? The things that they do here, the things that they engage upon here, the decadence, the degeneracies, it doesn't belong here. I'm not saying that Westerners don't have moral values, but what I'm saying is that Western values and Islamic values are a little bit different. Let me explain it like this. Western values manage evil. What do I mean by managing evil? Well, at least in America, prostitution is not legal, but in other Western countries it is. There's parts of France where prostitution is legal. In the Netherlands, prostitution is legal. In Switzerland, drug use is legal. They give you a doctor's office to shoot up heroin just so you could do it in a safe environment. This is Western values in a nutshell. Western values manages evil. It doesn't destroy it, okay? And Western values don't mix religion with politics. So that's another thing too, right? They have a serious motivation to separate church and state. This is not compliant with Islam. Now, does that mean that Muslims should not live here? Of course not. If you can create a life for yourself here in America, and you can live a conservative life, you can live a life where you pray 5 times a day, you can live a life where you are a useful tool to society, a useful tool to the economy, why not? But it doesn't mean you have to engage in, you know, the decadence that they engaged in. You don't know how many times I've rejected going to Christmas parties for a company or for work. You know how many times I've, you know, stopped myself from participating in X, Y, and Z that had something to do with a holiday that is un-Islamic, right? If you can do that, then by all means, live here, right? But in all honesty, I also believe a lot of Muslims are not strong enough to live in the West because they will fall under the temptations of what is around here. So yeah, I'm not too offended by that statement where, you know, they say that Islam doesn't belong here. To a certain extent, it doesn't. But it doesn't mean that Muslims don't belong here. It doesn't mean that we can't live within, you know, a universal understanding of, all right, you know what? I'm not going to go out and hurt people or rob people or do something that is detrimental to society, and in return, you give me an opportunity to practice my religion. Nobody here stops me from going to the mosque. If I have to do my 5 daily prayers, I've prayed in a parking lot before, right? And people are looking at me like, you know, what are you doing praying in a parking lot? Well, you know, what are you going to do about it? Is it illegal for me to pray at the parking lot? No. You know, but if you want to go and stop me for it, then, you know, you got another thing coming. But for the most part, a police officer is not going to stop you. That's the most important thing about it, right? The police officer is not going to stop you. Maybe some white redneck who, you know, hates Muslim people, you know, or this, that, and the other are going to try and get at you. Okay, then that's fine. They're not the cops, okay? But that's really what it comes down to. Nobody stops me from going to the mosque. So, okay, although there are certain levels where you can, you know, kind of see there's a little bit of an Islamic oppression going on. I'll give you an example, right? Back in 2015, I donated to a website that was from Al Jazeera. Guess what happened? A couple of weeks later, after I donated to that website that was in Al Jazeera, by the way, Al Jazeera, okay, is Qatar, okay? It's ran by Qatar. Qatar sponsors the Taliban. Qatar sponsors Hamas. Qatar sponsors a whole lot of Sunni Islamic jihadi groups. So it is no wonder I got a visit based on throwing money around in places that, you know, were quite nefarious. But then, all right, they found out it was really nothing to it. It was no different than if I was going to give money at the mosque. Hate Love says, Kyrie, wow, that's so different to the UK, but I think I get what you are saying. So thank you for explaining that. Just a difference of how I've seen the world. But war on Iran was for religion. So yes, and Donald Trump admits that, right? He is very much in line with that idea that this is a religious war, especially Pete Hegseth. UAE is the only country that is following the direction it's separating religion from politics. Sometimes other Muslim countries should follow. Okay, so that's an interesting point right there that you made, right? The UAE has a little bit more of a leeway than, let's say, Saudi Arabia. And let me tell you why. Saudi Arabia is the custodian of the holy mosque, the 2 holy mosques, okay? One in Medina and one in Mecca, okay? Which everybody goes to have Hajj, right? So they have to maintain a certain level of religious conservatism. kind of like in the Vatican. I mean, you know, regardless of what you'll say about the Vatican or differences of religious practices in that, the Vatican has to hold certain Catholic values in order for them to exist as the Vatican. Well, for Saudi Arabia to exist, okay, not just as a country that hosts boxing or all forms of sports, but as a country that hosts Mecca, they have to hold a certain standards. But here's the thing, right? I don't know if UAE necessarily separates religion in and of itself. For example, there are no, well, weirdly enough, yeah, they kind of do, because there's Hindu temples in the UAE. Are there churches in the UAE? Wait, let me see. Let me confirm this. Does UAE have churches? Yes. So the UAE has many churches with roughly 40 serving a diverse Christian population. These churches are primarily located in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, and other Emirates, catering to expats denominations, including Roman Catholic, Anglican, Evangelical, Coptic, Orthodox. Okay. Now, what about Hindu temples? Does the UAE have Hindu temples? Because they got a lot of Hindus over there. So, yes, wow, they do have Hindu temples. Okay, so you're right. You are right, right? They really do go out of their way to be, diverse, inclusive at that, right? They really go out of their way to do that. But Saudi Arabia can't do that. Qatar could do that, but I think they have a government that is highly sympathetic to Islamic jihadi Sunni groups, right? That's just a national interest of theirs for whatever reason. Everyone has a different national interest when it comes to Muslim countries, right? This is a reason why Pakistan has hid Osama bin Laden for so many years, because they feel that if they don't hide bin Laden, it would go against their national interest, because believe it or not, man, there's a lot of people in Pakistan that are sympathetic to bin Laden. And that is the reason why he has been living there for years on out with really no contest towards it in any kind of way. But yeah, guys, all right. So listen, guys, I'm going to head out. That is all that I have for this one right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. A little bit of some recap of what we talked about today, just so you can go and watch this later on your own, from the very beginning to the top. We talk about Jon Jones's Road Rage incident. We started off the stream talking about Drakeo the Ruler, killer, self-snitching on himself. Then we talked about UFC 327, had a full card prediction on that one. Also, we talked about the war on Iran, the updates that is going on right now, and obviously the deadline that Trump has going on for the Strait of Hormuz tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is 5 p.m. Western over here. So we'll see what happens, right? A whole lot of things that are going on in the world right now. Thank you for everyone that is tapping in. I really appreciate your support for the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Inshallah.